Good morning. Welcome to the First Religious Society, Unitarian Universalist in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Jenny Booth, and I am your worship associate this morning. We come together as a church community, online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our core values are authentic connection, courageous action, love, spirituality, and wonder. Our mission and our invitation to all of you is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, and transform our world. If you are visiting today or joining us for the first time, welcome. We're glad you're here. To access this morning's order of service, please click on the QR code located in the paper in your pew, on the link which you will find in your reminder email, or in the links just below the live stream for those of you online. Please take a moment to look at all the great things going on this week listed in the order of service. I highlight Reverend Rebecca's online contemplative worship this Wednesday evening. It's a great way to start the holidays. Every Sunday, we say that it is no small thing that we have gathered. This morning, it is a particularly big thing that we have gathered, so let us give ourselves to it. I welcome one and all to our church and our worship service. Thank you. It is good to be together.
It is indeed good to be together. This happens to me where when we've been apart for a little while and I sit back here and I watch each of you and look in your faces, I get overtaken by the mutual need and gift it is to be together in this congregation and in this community. There's so much happening in this world and in each of our lives. How incredibly blessed are we to make up this church? Our call to worship this morning is a call for help in 8 languages, reminding us that just as we all love, we all need one another, regardless of language, nationality, or race. Pamachi, Ajutor, Bengbengu, Musiada, help, Membantu, Ede, help. Help in Bosnian, Romanian, Chinese, Arabic, Afrikaans, Indonesian, Haitian Creole, and English. And the universal reply to the request for help, regardless of language, I am here. You are faithfully called to worship. Please join in saying our chalice lighting words as Jenny lights the chalice. The words can be found in the online order of service or in the laminated card found on the gray hymnals or your printed order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. There are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, I invite you to speak together the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle this morning is lit for Glynn County, Georgia, where on November 25th, a jury found Gregory McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and their neighbor, Roddy Bryan, guilty on 23 counts in a murder of Aham Aubrey on February 23, 2020. May this verdict and others like it be truly what the district attorney said, that they reflect a new direction for our communities, this state, and the nation, to denounce hate, division, and intolerance, and promote unity. For this we pray. Peace, salam, shalom. Our second candle this morning is lit truly for the world, mentioning a few places, specifically South Africa, Botswana, Hong Kong, Amsterdam, Belgium, the UK, where Omicron, a new variant of the COVID-19 virus, has been detected. We pray for the safety of all of these lands and their people, and for our world and her people as we continue to navigate this global pandemic. Peace, salam, shalom. This morning marks the start of Advent. I'll share a little bit about this tradition here, and then we'll move into the lighting of the candle as we will each week. We are entering a time of year where the earth grows colder, the animals begin to hibernate, and the days become continually shorter. This morning marks the beginning of the season of Advent. In the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year, recognizing the transforming power of God in the world. And I would invite us just to replace good, love, justice, or hope. It looks forward toward the birth of Jesus' spiritual light and his teachings of nonviolence, justice, love. Christianity is not alone in celebrating light at this time of year. Hanukkah, solstice, Kwanzaa, they all involve candles, fire, and light as part of their celebrations. Each Sunday until Christmas, we will light a new candle on the Advent wreath, a circle of evergreens. The flame of each new candle reminds us that something is happening now, but something more is still to come. The light of Advent grows brighter and brighter, guiding us toward personal peace, shared joy, and more love. Next week, we will also be lighting the menorah for Hanukkah, which begins this evening. This morning, as we light the first candle, we light it as a symbol of hope and expectation. May we dare to open the dark places in our lives and memories to the healing light of community. With the creative power of hope, we express our longing for peace and prepare our hearts and lives to be transformed. And we'll now join together in our opening hymn. Those of us in person will be taking this in, perhaps even humming. Those online are invited to sing aloud. Hymn number 1040, Hush.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Soon one morning, death come a-creeping in my room. Soon one morning, death come a-creeping in my room. Soon one morning, death come a-creeping in my room. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. I'm so glad trouble don't last always. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Please rise in body or spirit, and let's join our voices together now in our affirmation of faith. The words again are in your order of service and on the laminated cards. We'll also speak the doxology as we have been. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. From all that dwell below the skies, let faith and hope with love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung through every land, by every tongue. You may be seated. And my friends, I know how much many of us have been missing singing, and I just want you to know that the reopening team, which continues to meet biweekly, is tracking these things. We will be having live singing for candlelight and for Christmas Eve. We'll also be singing carols for Christmas Eve outside after each of the two services. We are doing our very best to balance safety with what I know our hearts need. So I do invite you to just hum along and know that as soon as we can, we'll be adding this back in. Caring for one another is an ever-present and enduring commitment of this, our beloved church community. As we care for the local and the world communities and the earth, so too do we care for those among us. Being part of a religious community that is built on covenant, as ours is, means we belong to one another. Look around you. You belong. And those who you are looking at, they belong to you. The well-being of each and every one of us matters to all of us. We are held in the loving embrace of this community. And as we lean into the care of each other, we grow We deepen our connections with one another, and we deepen and grow the strength and vitality of our communal well-being. The ministries of care here at the First Religious Society are bountiful. They include the parish friends who offer rides, meals, note cards, taking people to doctor's visits. The memorial services team, groups of folks who walk with families as they plan and hold memorial services that are led by Justin and myself. The addiction ministry team, who are here to lend a hand and a heart and an ear and experience, and to help make connections for folks who are struggling with addiction or have loved ones struggling with addiction. Another very important group of our ministries of care are our pastoral care associates, a team of 7 people who are literally, like the other groups, extensions of my ministry, and who provide pastoral care to those among us. Won't you listen now and learn more about this special group?
Good morning. My name is Julie Parker Amory. You might hear the term pastoral care and think that this is about reaching out to someone when you're having a crisis of faith. I would like to invite you to think about pastoral care more as the expression of care and concern within the context of a church community. This is what the pastoral care associates are here to do, offer care and concern as co-congregants. All of us have times in our lives when we need a little extra care. Transitions, such as seeing a child leave the nest or welcoming a new child, a new job, a new home. Sometimes it helps to share it with someone who won't feel the need to give advice or fix a problem. Loss of a loved one through death or a move, through estrangement or divorce. Loss of a job, loss of status, loss of ability. We all experience loss, and it can be a real gift of grace to be able to share our pain or confusion with another. Stress from caregiving, illness, isolation, worry. These are human conditions we all share. The pastoral care associates are here to be with any one of us through these times.
My name is Nancy Kidd, and I'm very grateful today to be a part of this church and have the opportunity to also be a part of the Pastoral Care Associates team. As Julie mentioned, those of us on the PCA team are available to meet with church members to offer a compassionate and attentive listening presence. It's an opportunity for people to talk about the many and varied life challenges that we all experience as we continue to walk this somewhat bumpy path called life. I was involved for a few years in the Chalice Circle groups here at FRS. I was privileged to meet more like-minded people in our church and explore topics of shared interest. I found these sessions so nurturing and inspiring, as well as informative, and realized, again, how we all have so much in common. And by simply talking about our lives and being present for each other, I found to be a very intimate and even healing experience. As someone much wiser than I once said, a joy shared is doubled, and a sorrow shared is lessened. I hope to meet and connect with more of you this year. I consider it a privilege to be part of this loving and supportive church community and also part of the pastoral care team. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Helen Mergida, and I'm part of the Pastoral Care Associates. Pastoral Care Associates practice deep listening. To do so requires time and space to fully absorb what a member of the community is saying. With encouragement and questions, those engaged with us feel heard and are encouraged to speak more openly and honestly. It taps into deeper meaning so that unspoken words and feelings are conveyed. We do not listen with the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand. Thich Nhat Hanh tells us, 1 hour of compassionate deep listening can bring about transformation and healing. Deep listening allows engagement without assumptions, establishes trust by demonstrating that what others say is valued and taken seriously. This process may guide both parties toward a proposed plan of action, utilizing other resources and specialists.
Good morning. My name is Betsy Hazen, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve in the PCA ministry here at FRS UU. As has been said, our role as PCAs is to listen deeply with compassion and care. We are also able to share and connect you and your loved ones with resources in the larger community. Examples of this alignment might be around challenges with addiction, domestic violence, or around emotional, mental, and physical health. Please reach out. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Garnison, and I feel honored to be asked to be part of the Pastoral Care Associates. As many of you know, the congregation has grown to over 400. And as we have grown, and with the arrival of COVID and now a new variant, it's so important that we find ways to connect with each other, to support each other through our difficult times. Reverend Rebecca is always here for us, and we are here to support her as this congregation has grown, as the needs have grown. Speaking for all PCAs, I'm hoping that in time you'll feel comfortable to reach out to us directly, knowing that everything that is shared is confidential. A few of us have shared what it means to be a PCA, but in addition to those that have spoken this morning, we also have Tom Himmel, who's a PCA, Susan Ricca, and Bettina Turner. Susan is also chair, as many of you know, of Friends, which does so much work in the pastoral care within the community. The list of all the pastoral cares is in the order of service with all our contact numbers. Being a lifelong New Englander, German ancestry, and a feminist, believe me, it's been difficult to ask for help. I'm learning. I'll tell you, at times I still have to, really reach down and say, this is important. And every time I do, I feel that it has been a gift that I've given to myself. And I hope for all of you that when there's a time when you would like support and someone to listen, that you'll reach out and give that gift to yourself. Thanks.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church to live out our values, mission, and ends both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering not designated as a pledge goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. The November shared collection will support Essex County Habitat for Humanity, which brings people together to build affordable homes, strengthen families, and foster hope. Habitat families buy their homes after they provide between 240 and 360 sweat equity hours to build their own home and other families' homes. And since 1985, 114 new homes have been built and 41 homes have been rehabbed. This includes a current project in Salisbury. Please give so that one day everyone will have a decent home to live in. At this time, we encourage you to make your offering online. If you are viewing the order of service on your phone or on your computer from home, there is a link you can click on in the order of service or in the video description. And there you can make your contribution. You can also text a contribution by sending the word GIVE FRSUU, that's one word, GIVE FRSUU, to the number 73256. If you would prefer to make an offering by cash or check, you can take the time to fill out the information as the music is playing. And there will be baskets you can use as you leave the service. And of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. The offering will now be gratefully received.
This is a time in our service each week when we pause to lift up the joys and sorrows of our beloved faith community. Tom Himmel, our pastoral care associate, will light the candles as I read what has been shared with me in advance of today's service. We've also reinstated having the journal back behind Bruce and James. There's a table and a journal. If on a Sunday morning when you come in, you have a joy or sorrow you would like shared with the congregation, you can write it in that and it will come up to me before the service starts. We light a candle of sorrow this morning to share the news that Pat Bashford died peacefully in her home with both of her sons present on Monday afternoon, November 22nd. A memorial service will be held here on June 26th, 2022, as they would like to follow a tradition of letting some time pass. We also light now a candle of concern for Julie Parker Amory and Steve Amory, who request prayers for their daughter Lily's safe return from South Africa. I also light a candle of concern and request for prayers as my husband, Bart Bracken, has knee surgery on Tuesday this week. We light a candle of concern and love for Bob Tyler Nelson's twin brother, Herbert, who will be having heart valve replacement surgery on Monday. Please keep him and Bob and Jan in your prayers. Maureen Adams and Lee McLaughlin ask that we light a candle in honor of Transgender Day of Remembrance, which was November 20th. Please, let's take a moment to honor the lives lost in 2021 to senseless violence, bigotry, and transphobia, not just in the United States, but around the world. Each and every person who was killed was a whole person with a rich life and an untold finished story. We light a candle of joy this morning for the decorations that magically appeared in our sanctuary. When I came in this morning, I just lit up and said to John Mercer, "Oh, it's magic." But I happen to know that Ann Power and Sue and Rich Camo do this each year for us, and it is a joy. We also light a candle of joy as I was sitting here and looking out the windows and watching our children run around out in the yard with our beloved Mara Flynn, the director of Children's Ministries. It is cold out there, and they, again, remaining safe, are bundled up and have their hoods on, and they're laughing and squealing with joy. And I light also a candle of a silent prayer that a parishioner has asked for, that they're uncomfortable sharing the details, but did want it lit here in the sanctuary this morning. And one final candle for all of the sorrows and all of the joys that, although unnamed, are just as important and held in our hearts. I invite you to join me now in a spirit of prayer, meditation, centering. Spirit of life, of love, of beauty, maker of all that is seen and unseen, grant us peace. As we hold the prayers that have been shared in the spoken words, in the lit candles, and in the confine of our hearts, give us courage. As we remember those around us who are hurting, may we extend always the hand of fellowship. May we know that we are all so much more alike than different. We all hurt. We all fear. We all need the help of another. Oh, life, when it is our turn to be a healer, give us the strength and the compassion and the humility that it takes to be a good friend, partner, and neighbor. May we remember that in serving another by our presence, by our remembering to reach out, that we are enough simply by being there. When it is our turn to be helped, give us the willingness and the sensibility to know it doesn't get better alone, and that the bravest thing we can do is let love in. Help us find the inspiration we need to keep showing up, to keep giving, to keep asking, to keep receiving, and to keep believing. For all of these things, we pray. Amen.
The reading for today is Helping, Fixing, or Serving by Dr. Rachel Remen. Service is not the same as helping. Helping is based on inequality. It's not a relationship between equals. When you help, you use your own strength to help someone with less strength. It's a one-up, one-down relationship, and people feel this inequality. When we help, we may inadvertently take away more than we give, diminishing the person's sense of self-worth and self-esteem. Now, when I help, I am very aware of my own strength, but we don't serve with our strength, we serve with ourselves. We draw from all our experiences. Our wounds serve, our limitations serve, even our darkness serves. The wholeness in us serves the wholeness in the other and the wholeness in life. Helping incurs debt. When you help someone, they owe you, but service is mutual. When I help, I have a feeling of satisfaction, but when I serve, I have a feeling of gratitude. Serving is also different to fixing. We fix broken pipes, we don't fix people. When I set about fixing another person, it's because I see them as broken. Fixing is a form of judgment that separates us from one another. It creates a distance. So, fundamentally, Helping, fixing, and serving are ways of seeing life. When you help, you see life as weak. When you fix, you see life as broken. And when you serve, you see life as whole. When we serve in this way, we understand that this person's suffering is also my suffering, that their joy is also my joy, and then the impulse to serve arises naturally. Our natural wisdom and compassion presents itself quite simply. A server knows that they're being used and has the willingness to be used in the service of something greater. We may help or fix many things in our lives, but when we serve, we are always in the service of wholeness.
Oh my goodness. Somebody want to help me? No, I'm teasing. I am completely tangled up right now. My goodness gracious. Here we go. All righty. My Lord. Okay. I love that reading, and Justin brought forward the irony of the fact that we're talking about asking for help. And in fact, that reading, I believe, does put things in its proper perspective. That really what we're saying right now is, and what I want to reflect on for a few minutes, is what stops us, what does it mean when we are at the place and time in our life, be it in small ways or large, that we need to reach out and ask someone for help, ask someone to connect with us, ask for someone to be there. And I do believe very much in what was written, that it is about actually service. And I reread that reading with the word love, and it works just as well. So, how many of you are the helpers in your life? Raise your hand if you are comfortable being the person who gives help rather than the one who receives or asks for help, be it in your family, your work, your friend group, or here at church. Oh, come on, raise your hand if you're more comfortable giving help than asking for it. And keep your hands raised if you are equally comfortable asking for help as you are giving it. There's a couple of us. Michael, I like your honesty, Michael. He's like, kind of. I've said this before, but when I came here, having spent much of my life, I was as a child in Pennsylvania, I knew that wasn't a New Englander, but then spending many years of my adult life in Connecticut, I thought I was a New Englander until I became the minister of this congregation. Then I learned that I was not a New Englander. I hug, and I love, and I ask, and I offer, and I cry, and I tell you that I make mistakes. So, raise your hand if you are comfortable at all asking for help. You can put them down. Most of us find it difficult, certainly more difficult to ask for help than to offer it. Some of us find it impossible. So I invite you, as I take a short homily here to reflect on this, to think honestly about yourself and your life. In any part of it, you can think about your work, you can think about your relationships here, your friendships, your family. As I said, most people find it difficult to ask for help. Those of us who have less difficulty with it have most likely been in situations in our lives where we have been forced to ask for help. I hope, if that's been the case for you, you've learned, as I have, that asking for help is not so bad. In fact, it can be beautiful and transformative. That's definitely my experience. Asking for help is one of the first things people in recovery from any addiction are taught to do. The sponsor or a person with more experience will encourage the person who's new to recovery to call 3, 4, or 5 people every day to develop their network of support. I remember the first time I heard that, and if I hadn't been as desperate as I was, I would have walked out those doors. Other people leave because they say this God thing. For me, it was that. Call 3 or 5 people every day. What? Are you kidding me? What do I say? Oh, that's okay. Just say hi. They'll take care of the rest. It is so much easier for us, you see, to learn to pick up the phone, and I'm not just talking about people in recovery at all, any of us, all of us. It's easier to learn to pick up the phone or reach out when we're not in a crisis. Then, when we are in times of need, picking up that phone or sending that email or reaching out will be natural and a relief. People talk about how heavy the phone is and how they feel like a burden when they do reach out. But you see, after a little while, they realize that asking for help and reaching out is as helpful to the person being asked as it is for the person asking for help, if not more. Asking for help, as I said, goes well beyond recovery. Being able to ask for and receive help is a universal necessity. Sooner or later, we will all need help. So I would ask you, actually, I better be careful. First of all, my clock is missing, so this is not good because I don't know what time it is. I'll try to stay to what I wrote, but I would ask you, even this morning, where have you asked for help? Because you have, whether you're conscious of it or not. Some of you may be very conscious of it. Perhaps you needed a ride. Perhaps you needed someone to watch a child or a loved one at home to be able to be here. But even when we don't recognize it, how do we get the food on our table? The heat in our homes? How do we get to be who we are today without the help of so many people? Many an enduring friendship has started with a simple request for help, even from a stranger or someone here at church. I see this time and again asking for help between family members often brings about a new level of closeness and authenticity which never happened before. Folks have more real and intimate conversations during times of illness, serious illness, and death than all the years prior. I've had so many people say to me, I wish I had started this kind of conversation long ago. Why did I wait so long? How did I never know, fill in the blank? You see, when we're stripped of our facades or defenses, of which we all have many, including staunch independence, others get to see the beauty of our realness and then respond to that. We love each other when we understand other people's vulnerabilities. Think about it. Think about the people you love the most. Is it really because they're so perfect? Or is it those things about them that just make them dear to you? It's so much easier to love someone when we're not blinded by their achievements or their talents or their independence. I remember years ago asking a dear, dear colleague of mine how I would know if being a minister was the right calling for me. He replied to my question by telling me what he did the day before. He said, "Yesterday, I sat by the bedside of someone in the hospital, changed a light bulb in an elderly parishioner's apartment, and served communion to a shut-in." "That sounds like heaven," I replied. "I think you have your answer," he said, smiling, placing his hand on mine. And he was absolutely right, though he didn't mention many things that are also part of ministry, including that asking for help as frequently, if not more, than offering it was part of the job. There is no way I could minister to this church on my own. No way. You are the ones who love and care for one another. I just get to bear witness. You are the ones in large and small ways. You minister to each other all the time. I continue to be amazed by the ways you make this church hum, the ways you show up for one another, sometimes making sure that I know what's happening, the ways you reach out to offer and ask for help. It's inspiring, and as it should be. Caring for one another in our world is core to who we are as a faith community. I have an important request to that end, which is to invite all of you, longtime members, brand new friends, to join us in an online conversation next Tuesday, put on by the Program Council at 6:30, where we're going to talk about church in the aftermath and continuation of COVID. We need to regroup and to understand how to get folks back in the habit of coming to church, to understand what it is people are looking for and need, and how we can reach people so they know about all the great things that are going on here. I am asking for your help as we find our way through these times together. It was difficult, I thought, when it was all about changing technology. Now I understand that was easy because that's mechanical. We can make a lot of mistakes, but eventually we'll figure it out. Now we're talking about the lifeblood of this congregation. So join the discussion if you can. We need you. So what makes it so difficult to ask for help? Think about this for yourself. I'm sure the answers vary from person to person. However, there are common themes. First, let's face it, asking for help is vulnerable. Asking for help is vulnerable. The more we need the help, the more vulnerable it can feel. And that vulnerability alone stops many people from asking for what they want or need. People who can't afford to live in a particular area, who live in homes that look so perfect until someone gets inside. Another common obstacle to asking for help includes, and this is one for me, thinking that asking for help makes us indebted to the other person or people, somehow obligated to return the help in the future. And finally, the third thing I believe many of us share is that above all, many of us fear that we will be rejected. We'll ask for help, and the other person or people will say no. So let me just reflect. If asking for help engenders you to have to return the favor, I would go so far as to say that may not be the person to ask. If at all possible. For ideally, we give and receive freely. We may give in one relationship or situation and receive in another. Again, I know I do. I may give a lot here. Trust me, I have my squad of folks who are giving back to me, helping me make way. It's not quid pro quo. And yes, sometimes people will say no, just as we need to decline sometimes. In fact, I think no is a very sacred word. More times than not, however, someone's no is not personal. It's actually their own process or journey or experience at that moment in their life. So the remaining question is, whom do we ask for help? And this question is worthy of consideration. Another time, I will preach about prayer, because I found it very interesting that we would be in a church and talk about whom do we ask for help, and not talk about our relationship to prayer, to the holy, to divine, to inspiration, to grace. That's another morning. But right now, when we think about people, asking the right thing of the right people is part of mastering the skill of discernment. Matching our ask with the person or people is key. Sometimes it is a friend or a family member. Sometimes someone at church. Sometimes it's a professional or someone we pay. As far as church goes, we can ask for help from each other in many ways. You can ask friends. You can reach out to me anytime or any of our staff or affiliate ministers. You can reach out to the various care ministries, including the parish friends, the addiction ministry team, the pastoral care associates who you heard about. When we looked at those lists, there's some 90 people in the congregation who are here to formally offer help. And that's beautiful. But it also tells me there's 90 people willing to give help. And often we ask ourselves, and who among us is asking for that help at the same time? In reality, we are all here to ask for and receive help from each other. That's one of the beautiful things about being part of a community, a spiritual community, and belonging. And so I want to turn this over to you now for the next few minutes. I would love to hear from you. When have you asked for help? And not just here, anywhere in your life. How did it change your life? What was it like? I'm wondering if a few of you would be willing to share that, as specifically or generally as you are comfortable, but please just share your own story and not someone else's. And Justin's going to come around with a microphone to those who are so moved to share.
If you raise your hand, I'm going to start with Nancy. She's right here.
Hi, I'm Nancy Kidd, as I mentioned before, and when the pandemic hit, it was necessary for my husband and I to ask for help with the grocery shopping, with errands, and our grandchildren and children stepped right up. And it was really a wonderful experience. I was used to giving to them, but not asking them for help, and it was a really positive, wonderful experience. Thanks.
I'm going to go over here.
Good morning. I'm Ray Wilson. About 10 weeks ago, one of those beautiful sunny September Sundays when we could finally have services in person again and then gather outside on the sidewalk for a sort of coffee hour. On one of those days, our own Reverend Rebecca looked at me with her megawatt smile and said, "Ray, how is your heart?" She's not a cardiologist. She's my minister. And she knows that I've been struggling with some issues in my life, and she asked because she cares. And that lightened my load and just made my day. Like most of us, I often find it hard to ask for help. So, my friends and fellow travelers, let us all try to remember when we sense that someone is just not quite ready to ask for help, take the initiative. Give a little nudge. Ask them, "How is your heart?" You might just lighten their load and make their day.
We'll take one more after this.
Hello, everyone. Nice and close. I'm Minnie Flanagan, and it's such a privilege to be able to stand up here and share that.
Closer.
Closer? That's it? Good, good, good. Okay. Oh, that's why they eat the microphone. A number of years ago, in the depths of despair and depression as a single parent of very young children, recently divorced, I was in the throes of addiction, not only to drugs and alcohol, but also to habits, just life habits. And I asked for help, as Reverend Rebecca referred to. They told me to don't drink, go to meetings and ask for help. It was impossibly difficult, but I did it, and it saved my life and also turned my life on a trajectory that has been very positive. I have 2 wonderful children, very successful, and I'm here in this beautiful sanctuary, which is my spiritual home. So thank you for asking us to share.
Does one more person want to share? Okay, I see over there.
Hi, when Rebecca was speaking, my head was spinning, so just bear with me. But a year ago, when I got a call from my dad's nursing home saying he had COVID, I knew I was in trouble. Emotions just rushed in. And I reached out. I had accepted help in the past, but never asked for it. And this time, I called Helen Mergita, a pastoral care associate. Helen was not a personal friend. We hadn't had any intimate talks in the past, but Helen was a pastoral care associate. I called her, and she shared her wonderful gifts with me, and I thank her forever for that. So make that call. It strengthened me. It gave me the tools I needed a week later when my father actually passed. And that wouldn't have been as rich of an experience if it hadn't been for Helen and pastoral care associates. So Helen, thank you, and thank you to this community. Oh, thank you, Michael. Susan Ricker, thank you, Michael.
Well, luckily, Justin keeps me on track, or I'd have us here all afternoon. So let's join together now in our closing hymn, Lean on Me. And for this hymn, I would actually invite those who are so moved to rise as you are willing and able, to hum along and to feel these words. It's number 2021. 1021.
Sometime in your lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow.
have to bear that you can't carry. I'm right up the road, I'll share your load if you just call me, lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, or it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call another when you feel a friend. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. You just cry when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just want when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Beautiful. Please join now in our unison benediction as Jenny extinguishes the chalice. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. I do invite everyone who wants to join. There's a 4:30 conversation online about this service. And before I offer our blessing, if we've pushed you too hard and you're feeling uncomfortable, that's good. And you can always leave and offer someone else help and let your nervous system settle down. It's okay. My friends, as we go from this sacred time set apart in our week, a time to come together, a time to be strengthened by the needs, by the gifts, by the connections of this community, may we go knowing we are blessed. May we offer that blessing to each and every person we meet this week, starting with ourselves, turning to our family and our friends and the people we pass on the street. May we go in peace and return again in great joy. Amen and blessed be.